Assignment 3, Applied Understanding of Leadership, PowerPoint presentation completed by Lanny Knowles and Polly Bazar-Sadhu.
Presentation was created for Education 5401, Principles and Processes of Educational Leadership, for Professor Dr. Tori Hanford at Thompson River University.
The two topics we decided to explore are team building and conflict resolution. Why team building and conflict resolution? In the realm of effective leadership, team building and conflict resolution are intertwined practices that go hand in hand. Team building and conflict resolution are crucial elements of effective leadership. So by prioritizing team building and conflict resolution strategies, leaders can cultivate cohesive teams, enhance collaboration, and create a positive work environment. The scholarly journals are riddled with articles that mention how important team building and collaboration are for the creativity and innovation of an organization. Recent scholarly articles also mention team building as being a key characteristic associated with distributed learning. So highlighting the significance of increasing workforce capacity and involving more diverse perspectives and individuals in decision-making will actually help generate original ideas and improve a company's chance of success in the global market. The importance of team building and increasing the capacity of an organization through team building is well documented and is a central idea in many leadership and organizational structures, hence why we chose to learn and elaborate on it. But incorporating multiple people with unique and different ideas will inevitably lead to conflict, as conflict is an interactive process. So it is for this reason that we believe it is also important to study conflict and positive conflict resolution styles. What is team building in leadership? Team performance is the quality of decision making, the ability to implement decisions, the outcomes of teamwork in terms of problems solved and work completed, and finally, the quality of institutional leadership provided by the team. If a problem is diagnosed as a team development problem, then the leader needs to determine the appropriate action to solve this relational problem. So, for example, managing conflict or building commitment.
Conflict is an expressed struggle between one or more competing positions, held by one or more individuals, usually based on incompatible beliefs, ideas, or goals. Or simply stated by Melvin Ryman, conflict arises when one or more participants views the current system or relationship as not working. Administrators, teachers, students, parents, and other employees are in constant communication and interaction in order for educational facilities to reach success. Therefore, it can be assumed as natural to have disagreements.
Scenario 1, team building and conflict resolution. A few years ago, I held the role of a team leader in the recruitment department at a market research company where I am currently employed. The team I led consisted of 2 recruiters who were responsible for completing data analysis for projects. During that time, I noticed tensions and conflicts emerging between the recruiters, which were negatively impacting both their productivity and overall morale. Recognizing the need for intervention, I proactively took the initiative to implement team building and conflict resolution strategies. One of the primary conflicts within the team revolved around a disagreement between the 2 recruiters concerning the interpretation of the data analysis for one of the projects. This conflict was causing significant delays in completing a crucial report for our client. In response, I promptly addressed the conflict using a conflict resolution approach. To begin, I arranged individual private meetings with each recruiter to gain a better understanding of their perspectives and concerns. And then followed by, I organized a mediation session involving both parties assuming the role of a neutral mediator. And to resolve the issue, I proposed a compromise that involved adopting a collaborative approach, incorporating elements from both recruiters' methodologies. And according to Hill, The leader needs the ability to perform these skills and to make a strategic choice as to the most appropriate function or skill for the intervention. For example, if the leader decides that team members were not getting along, he or she might decide to initiate conflict management. To be an effective leader, one needs to respond with the action that is required of the situation. Thus, it is the job of the leader to analyze and mediate the situation to make the best decisions for the good of the team. And I do agree with Hill here because it is a leader's responsibility to analyze and resolve the situation in the best way possible for the team's benefit. In an effort to promote team cohesion and to proactively address any potential conflicts, I introduced a structured schedule of monthly team meetings to create a positive team building environment. These meetings served as a platform for the recruiters to openly discuss and align their methodologies, promoting consistency and reducing the chances of conflicts arising from different approaches. So over the following weeks, I did witness a remarkable improvement in the team dynamics. The recruiters started collaborating more effectively, actively seeking input from each other, and efficiently resolving conflicts in a constructive manner. According to Hill, for teams to be successful, the organizational culture needs to support employee involvement. Parker has found that the integration of organizational teams yields improved productivity, efficient resource utilization, enhanced decision-making and problem-solving abilities, higher quality products and services, as well as increased innovation and creativity. So as a result for scenario 1, productivity saw a significant boost. Data analysis reports demonstrated higher quality, and an overall atmosphere of positivity and unity permeated the team.
The educational situation I'm going to discuss is one that far too many teachers are familiar with, and it's a common occurrence between teachers and parents. Contacting home, when a situation has occurred in the classroom, which, more often than not, is not good news. In the middle of a math class, Jimmy throws his pencil on the floor in frustration and yells out, "I hate this! This is stupid! When am I ever going to use this?" He then stomps out of the room, stopping by the class bulletin board to rip down all the posters and bulletins. The situation must be addressed promptly to prevent it from escalating and to discourage other students from behaving similarly. Not responding and ignoring the situation is a possible strategy, but by not taking any action, you're essentially granting silent permission to other students to behave in the same way. EDUC further mentions that unresolved conflicts, when not dealt with correctly, can be destructive and create long-lasting harm and discontent within the organization. When contacting home, it's important to set the correct tone and find common ground. In this case, Jimmy. Quite often, by the time you have contacted home, the story has already been relayed to the parents, potentially leaving out important or key pieces of information. Therefore, it's beneficial to provide a recap of the events that occurred. During the retelling of an event, it's important to note that the description reflects your perspective, as we all have different perspectives of what is true for you may not be true for someone else. Once you've completed the retelling of events that transpired, it's always a good practice to ask the other party for their thoughts on the matter, encouraging them to talk about it and share their perspectives on the situation. Resolving conflict is an interactive process, and as a classroom teacher, you cannot expect to reach an understanding of the situation that will, hopefully, also be reinforced at home unless both parties, parents and teacher, feel that they have been heard. To reach an agreement or a plan going forward, it's often useful to shift the conversation's focus towards the future and avoid dwelling on the past events. At the end of the conversation, it's always helpful to emphasize how the changes, will benefit the student. When a conflict is addressed and resolved correctly, it's no longer a negative experience and can actually transform into a positive experience that promotes growth for all parties involved.
What have your group members learned about leadership from working on this project? So for us, during the creation of this project, we used a participatory leadership style. Participatory leadership practices are very similar to distributed leadership, where all members contribute to the decision-making process and actively engage in achieving necessary outcomes and goals. So each member is responsible for implementing the ideas they have generated. A distributed perspective presses us to identify and explore the enacting of leadership tasks, as these tasks are performed by multiple formal and informal leaders. So this statement highlights the importance of understanding how leadership responsibilities were shared and enacted among each of us in the group.
So let's identify 1 to 3 key lessons that you will take with you into your current or future workplace. Well, the first lesson was very apparent, was not being in a centralized location where direct interactions, in-person meetings, make collaboration quite difficult. I think this experience really exemplifies how working from home doesn't exactly work in this situation. The second lesson we learned was that our initial assumption about the hindrance caused by our different past experiences, one member was in education and the other was in marketing, was counterintuitive. After working together, we learned that the differences in past experiences and perspective was not a hindrance at all. In fact, it was invaluable. The third lesson we learned throughout this project is that differences should be celebrated rather than assumed to be negative. Having multiple individuals with diverse strengths proved to be a significant advantage, as each group member could take charge and efficiently handle the various aspects of the project based on their previous experiences.
What did you learn about working as a team? After working together as a team, we discovered that having trust and faith in the abilities of our fellow team members was essential and helped alleviate feelings of anxiety and stress. According to Slater, shared leadership is dependent upon the professional norms of collaboration that rely on trust, respect for the expertise of others, and mutual interdependence for success. As such, when leaders recognize and nurture capacity in others, they provide the opportunity for staff to develop leadership skills by learning from each other in supportive and collaborative environments.
So what were your strengths as a team? Well, one of us has more experience working as part of a team and could recount the experiences used in the corporate world to encourage team building. The other member works in education. I work at a high school, and I initially believed I had limited experience with team building. But according to Dyer et al. 2013, in some groups, the nature of the task requires a high degree of teamwork because tasks are reciprocally interdependent. Team outputs are achieved through work done in a simultaneous and iterative process in which each individual must work in close coordination with other team members because he or she can only complete tasks through a process of iterative knowledge sharing. Thus, team members must communicate their own requirements frequently and be responsive to the needs of the other members of the team.
In what areas did you experience challenges? Technology, definitely technology. Just when you depend on it and assume it will function flawlessly, it suddenly stops working. Always have a backup plan, and it's an excellent lesson for teachers to keep in mind in the classroom as well. In virtual teams, connected across time and space by electronic media, focusing on building team relationships is even more critical than in traditional co-located teams. And according to Pauline, virtual team leaders must be able to read all the personal and contextual nuances in a world of electronic communications. They must be able to understand the possible causes of silence, misunderstanding, and slights without any of the usual signs to guide them. Leaders must be sensitive to the flow of team processes, paying attention to the smallest matters to head off potential troubles that could derail the team's task.
What is one thing your team did that made a positive difference with respect to navigating a challenge? Well, our team held regular meetings and maintained frequent correspondence to overcome the challenges presented by technology and facilitate collaboration despite the significant distance between us. Polly lives in Ontario and I live in BC, so there's a 3-hour time difference.
Although open-mindedness, flexibility, and persistence are often thought of as unalterable features of the human psyche, there is clear evidence that these two can be developed. This would be among the goals for our personal reflections as leaders. After a meeting with colleagues, we might take a few moments to ask ourselves, was I reasonably open-minded? Was I as flexible as I should have been? Did I insist that we persist at the things that matter? This answer to the question of how leaders acquire the core leadership practices is not intended to rule out such obvious strategies as formal training, but it does suggest that practicing leadership with the right frame of mind, open-minded, flexible, and persistent, will be at least as productive to a leader's development as such formal strategies. So Dr. Leithwood suggested that cultivating the right mindset through self-reflection is as valuable, if not more so, than formal training in enhancing skills. And these are the references that we use for our PowerPoint presentation. Thank you for watching.
Thanks again, everyone. I appreciate you taking the time to watch our presentation.